We all know getting the truth don't happen on the surface. You gotta dig for it. Around here, we sit down with the people making noise. From the block to the boardroom. Business owners, community leaders, politicians, musicians. If you got a story, we pull up a chair. I'm Gunsmoke, Patterson bred and never scared of the truth. This ain't for the fake, the fluff, or the filters. Welcome to the Beatdown Podcast.
I stack blue bills, I spend Redskins. Bank account on Alex Ovechkin. These niggas talking too much, they need let him in. Too many lanes in the game, who let him in? Dope game fucked up. But I'm still in these streets and I'm still getting bugged. I'm counting all day like a cuckoo clock. Jugging off the phone, graduated from the blocks. 1,000 squares for my circle. I roll with a pack of wolves, no squares in my circle. Pull through the block with two squares, I bust crazy jugs. Little did they know, gun smoking every hoe. Ran through 1,000 bricks for the whip, 1,000 bricks every flip. My bitch is bad as shit. Her father.
We are here on the Beatdown Podcast, episode 7, with Alicia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invite.
Appreciate you coming. Well, appreciate you having us. You know, we are at Keller Williams Team Realty, and I'm here to ask some questions because I want to know how I could buy a house right now.
Question is, so many people say, I want to buy a house right now. I give them 72 hours. That's my rule of thumb to see how motivated they are. If they don't call me within 72 hours, you're interested in wanting to buy a house. You don't want to buy a house. You're interested on some material that you need to know in order to maybe get the motivation of wanting to buy a house. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to buy a house, I'll tell you the first step you have to do is you have to get a pre-approval, right? You have to reach out to a lender. Of course, stop. So many people use the big banks. Stop. Don't use the big banks. Use a mortgage lender. My preferred mortgage lender is CMG, or you could use whoever you like, First Alliance, whoever you choose to. Once you get that, the second thing you have to do is, do you want to stay within the inner city, or do you want to go to the suburbs? Mm. Now, I helped someone in the past. His credit score was 580. She wanted an apartment. She lived in West Orange. If you know anything about West Orange, the rent is high. Well, the rent is high anywhere you want to take it. Anywhere you want to, whatever demographic. But at the end of the day, I told her if I could show you a way that I could provide you a way for you to own instead of you going back and having to rent somewhere else and your kids is running around, you're dealing with the neighbor with the mop stick hitting the ceilings and telling you that your kids is making too much noise. If I could show you a way that you could get your own place and each child will have their own bedroom, they'll have their backyard, you'll have your driveway, you'll have your garage. Would you want a peace of mind? And she told me she was up for it. Mm-hmm. She took advantage of the state grant, which is $22,000. For one, her parents hasn't owned a property within the past 7 years. They never bought. So she was entitled to using the grant. Mm. Okay, so for two, I told her, listen, she said, listen, Alicia, I don't got a lot of money. I said, well, what do you have? What can we work with? And she said, I'm like maybe $2,000. I said, okay, that's a start. So she got the pre-approval. I asked her, at the time she's relocating from West Orange. And she said, Alicia, take me anywhere. Anywhere that my money could definitely get me and my family a peace of mind, I'm open to it. I'm open to the commute. So she asked me about Phillipsburg. I said, Phillipsburg, it's a really nice town. It's one exit from PA. Mm-hmm. So she was willing for the commute to go back and forth to work. So we seen a home, and I said to her, listen, this house been on the market for more than 20 days. It was close to 50 days. We got room to negotiate.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. The rule of thumb is that once it's on the market for more than 20 days, then that's letting you know, the buyer is saying you overpriced. It's either the price, the location, or the condition. And if we know that, I'm going to give you an example. If we're talking about, Clifton, and this house been on the market for 60 days, we know it's not the location because Clifton is a prime location, right? We could possibly say maybe it is the condition. So let's go in there and make an appointment and view and tour, right? And then once we see that it's not the condition, then we know it's the price. So it depends on Mr. Seller. Would you want to get to your new chapter and relocate wherever you're trying to go? And you could take this offer, $20K less, or whether it's $15K less, after I do my comps and see what recently sold within the area based on bedroom count, bathroom count, and square footage. Then we'll discuss in terms of an offer. So what I did to her, the house was on the market for 50-something days. I said, how much of a deposit can you do? She said, Alicia, I'm only giving you $500. I said, well, I'll take the $500. We'll put that on the offer. So $500 will be your down payment. And then afterwards, what we could do, the lender said she's entitled to the grant. She took advantage of the grant. And then afterwards, she came to closing with only maybe $700. So all in, she only came out of pocket, and we're not talking about a home inspection. We're just talking about out of pocket, because home inspection is like $500 to $700. That's something separate. Sure. And of course, the appraisal fee, which is another $5, right? So that's something separate. But all in, for her to get a peace of mind, she only came out of $1,375, and that's on my page. Her testimony is there.
I think I got like 1,000. I need a house, so
And she got her a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, huge backyard, driveway, and a garage. And now each child has their own room, and then she has a peace of mind. And it was less than her having to pay a security deposit, first month rent, and a broker's fee.
No, why did he do that?
What do you mean in terms of the broker's fee?
The broker's fee, first month, last month. I heard Trump was supposed to be eliminating that, like down to.
Well, I tell you this, in Florida, they have, the landlords or, pays for the broker's fee in terms of renting. But in New Jersey, some landlords, they're 9 to 5, and some landlords that they purchase that property, they may not even step foot in that property. No. They just know that the numbers make sense, so they made the purchase, right? But the reason why they do that is because they want us to, one, make sure, pre-screen them, like make sure that they don't have no prior eviction. For 2, how they look at it is like, if this person is more than willing to pay a broker fee, this is not a potential headache tenant in the future to tell me that they don't have their money for their rent. So that's how landlords look at it in terms of going through a broker. They don't have the time to keep scheduling showings throughout the week, and people cancel, people want to reschedule, people want to negotiate you. So they'll hire someone just to take the photos, do the ads, get somebody that's qualified in here, that, credit scores. Now they focus on credit scores.
Yeah.
And some of the remarks, if you don't have a 700 and you're talking like to get a house, you need 580. 580 credit score. They want a 700 credit score just for you to rent.
Literally.
Yeah, so that's what it is now. So that's the backstory. And then with the security deposit, they want a security deposit because they want to make sure when they move out, they don't tear up the place. They have a security deposit, So that's just them for security, just to make sure, Okay.
So, how many people have you gotten into a home that did not think that they could get one? Like, I mean, like they called you one day and they were just like, I don't know, and then next thing you know, they know.
Maybe a good 20-something.
That's great.
20-something, a little over 20-something. Yeah.
So what locations do you?
I'm everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
Not just Jersey?
I'm pretty much I'm in Jersey. And if I have to go out of Jersey, Keller Williams is everywhere. So we have to, if it's PA, then we'll send a referral out. I have someone right now. She's in the Navy. She came from Patterson too. She's in the Navy and she got deployed. She went to California, and now she told me, Alicia, they reassigning me, and I'm gonna go to Texas. I said, all right, I'll get you somebody in Texas. And I just referred her an agent in Texas to help her, because we're everywhere. We're everywhere. We're in Jamaica, London, China, you name it. We're Canada. We're everywhere. This man is still alive, healthy, and well, and kicking. Keller Williams.
Shout out, Big. So, how many properties or houses do you think
y'all have sold or have like this like?
Well, the owner of this brokerage right here, to be honest with you, his name, it's him and his wife, Maureen Leong and David Leong.
Okay.
They own over like 178. I've seen the testimony of people. She was an agent. Within 3 years, she racked up 83 or 86 properties. So I believe, like, when it comes to this company, like, I'm for it. I grew up with, like, we grew up in a house. Like, we had our own room. We had a huge backyard. And I've seen us living at that level that we were good to us having to pretty much relocate to a 2-bedroom apartment, 3 kids sharing 1 room. So, like, in terms of real estate, I've seen the high, just growing up. I've seen the high and I've seen the low. And with my 22-year-old daughter, she's 22 and she's doing interior design and she has her license. And at 22, she got herself a 2-family. Like, being who you surround yourself with is how you succeed in life. And if you surround yourself surround around warriors, people that are just on that high level. I don't want what he has, like what they have as a couple. They have like 176. I want Alicia's story. Because I want, at the end of the day, when years from now, when I sit back and I could take my last breath and say, damn, it was worth it. My kids don't have to worry about nothing. They don't have to ask a family member. They don't have to ask for no favor because they'll be set. And that's what they did. They came in and they didn't have what the story they have. It took years of education, of learning, experience for you to get for them to be where they are today.
So how long have you been in?
I started off in this because I had a bad experience. I had an agent.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So a lot of time people jump in this industry because, for one, they probably experience something. For two, they just want a side job. But this right here, you have people that do this at an aside part-time and are successful. And you have people that do this full-time and they're successful. Like, they don't even have to work another day in their life. Like, they're good, But you do have realtors that do this full time and they're broke because they're worried.
How?
Because they're worried. They're paying that Tesla. They paying that Range Rover. Okay, so we were discussing in terms of the social media and the hype and everything that people think, the fancy cars, the Gucci sneakers and everything. It's just, at the end of the day, we all gonna get old. And it's a decision that we're gonna come to a decision. It's gonna be medication, food, or shelter. And I've came across people that they're elderly, they purchased a property back then for $30,000 and losing the house because of a $30,000 scenario. Because now they're elderly and they took a loan off for that property. And now when they took the loan off, they didn't anticipated a pandemic, right? Who would have thought about a pandemic? And then now, the wife is deceased. So now he's only solely based on his income trying to pay whatever he took off the property. Now, unfortunately, they lost the property, right? And by then, like, you purchase a property back then, I wish I could find a property for $30,000. Like, and now it's like, to get that type of property, it's like you're paying, especially like in Patterson, a single family in Patterson is like $500,000.
That's crazy.
A 2-family I sold in Patterson was $665,000. Now, the reason why, I'm gonna go back to what you asked me. You asked me before, how did I get into this? I had a house in Patterson. It was a 3-family, call it. It was a 2-family, but it was the attic was fully done. It was high ceilings throughout the whole house. So there's a kitchen, bathroom in the attic. So illegally 3-family, but whatever. I purchased it for $230,000. I was a tired landlord. I got frustrated. And I just said, you know what, I'm selling. At the time I had 2 kids. And then my son, he came and knocked upon me. So I had to do something so that the girls could have their own room and he could have his room. I didn't want nobody sharing rooms. And so what I decided is that I wanted to relocate. I really wanted to move to Hackensack. I don't know if you're familiar with Summit Avenue.
Yeah.
They got some beautiful houses on Summit Avenue, big houses, and that's what I really wanted. And my realtor at the time, I had two. One, I was working at the hospital, and, he said, hey, I'm in real estate. If you know anybody that, I was like, what? I'm thinking about selling my house. Like, I'm tired dealing with tenants. And he said, oh, really? And he said, yeah, I work with a partner. So when I come to your house, my partner, I'm like, I don't want your partner. I know you. I'm giving you this. I could have called Nicholas Real Estate. I could have called whomever. But because on the strength you told me that you're doing this, and I see you where we work at, I figured, let me give you the business. He didn't tell me that he was new. That this other person is his mentor, which is fine, because we all got to start off somewhere, somehow. That's fine. My deal. So I end up selling the house, and then we were supposed to close. Right when we were about to close, I found out from my attorney that the daughters remembered that the mom had an oil tank in the backyard. And it's contaminated soil in the backyard. And I said, oh my God, we're supposed to close on this house. Where am I supposed to put my family right now? And my mom lives with me. So wherever I went, I had to make sure that it's a room on the first floor so she's not going up and down the steps. And this house, this was my house. Like I said, I'm getting that house.
As soon as you seen it.
So I said, this is the house. It was on the market for a long time. And so we lowballed them and we got the offer accepted. But during that, I needed him. Like I'm going, like, oh my God, like my mom was sick at the time, and I'm like, I don't even know where we gonna stay. I don't know how much the hotel per day gonna be. We gotta close this. So what I end up having to do, I end up having to rent, which is a use of occupancy, the house, and then we close. We were supposed to close in May. We didn't close till October. So I had to pay these people that knew they had an oil tank, a contamination in the backyard, that kept it quiet all that time during the process. I had to turn around and pay them rent, and I was tight. And in the midst of that, I noticed that he didn't answer my calls. I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, because he went kind of ghost on me, but. The other realtor, it was kind of different because when you know a person, you talk to them on a different type of level. This lady didn't know me, but she gave me the time of day. She took my call after 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night.
It's after hours.
And there's nothing she could do because it's after hours. But I just needed to vent because I'm buying a house, And he apologized to me. And I said, you know what? I'm seeing these realtors do nothing but mostly be on vacation. I said, oh, wow. I said, I'm going to do this. And then one thing about me, if I say I'm gonna do something,
you get it done.
I'm not that type that wait for tomorrow. I'm not a tomorrow type of person. I don't know because I'm a Capricorn. I don't know what it is. But my mother said when she has her mindset, not even God can negotiate her. Like, I'm gonna do it. Bottom line. And I said, my daughter was in college. I said, I'm gonna pay off this college. My whole goal is that even though she went to college, I don't want to leave debt on her. Like, I wanted to make sure that she graduates college and she don't owe nobody no. So I said, let me finish paying that off. And when she graduates, she'll be done. So I did that. I think the next year, once she graduated, boom, I started real estate school. And it just took off from there. I started off and that's when I told them, it's so funny because you see who's rooting for you when you tell them, like, oh, I got my license. And when I called him, I said, I got my license. And he said to me, there's realtors out here starving. There was no genuine congratulations. There was nothing. It was like, why did you do that? And meanwhile, the other realtor, she said, you got it in you. You got it in you. Because he always say, he'll say, Alicia, you got a good eye. Because I'd be saying, oh, you should put this together, that together, and wear it like that, and rock it like that, and stuff like that. Because I get my jackets made and stuff like that. So he always told me, like, you got a good eye in that. But I think I did a 360 leathers. Yeah. So I think I did a 360 on him, and I surprised him that I got my license. And he wasn't expecting that. I'm not your competition. I encourage everybody. If you want to do something, you want to make quick money, we make more money than doctors, lawyers.
So how long does it take? So from today, if I wanted to be, how many weeks? How many days?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
3 days of the week. You're online doing it, and it's from 6 to 8. 6 weeks of your life, 3 times a week. You're online, and at the time, I paid $415 or $14 with Weichert, and I found out, and it takes experience as you go through things. You find out that Signature Realty was only charging $100.
Okay. So
when I found that out, that's when I put my daughter on because she done graduated, and I said, "What do you want to do with yourself? You don't want to work? You gotta do something." She said, "I ain't trying to work for nobody." I said, "All right." She's like, "I'm gonna get my license." I said, "Here's signature number. Just get it done," and she did. But I say this to say, this is why I got into it. Because when you're in real estate and people buying houses and they selling, that's the most emotional roller coaster out there. Because you got money at stake. You got your deposit. You want to make sure you could get to the closing. You're dealing with so much things behind the scene of the lender asking you to send you the most recent pay stub, send me the most recent bank statement. They got to make sure that you're not sitting here running up your credit cards, buying furniture at Raymond and Flanagan of a house that you didn't even close on yet. So it's so much pieces to the puzzle to get to that closing table, But I feel as if with anybody out there, if you want to get a house, you could get a house. It depends on you. You want to become an agent, you could become an agent. It depends on you. It takes a lot of work, and I work more hours than I ever did on a clock. Like I worked for 19 years at Hackensack, and I work more hours. I was on the computer late last night, sending off a accepted offer. And it's Friday night. But I wanted to make sure that the attorneys have it lined up, and today is Saturday, but I want to make sure he has it. And I like to deal with, that's another thing. Your team matters. If your lender is not executing, it will cost you at the end of the day. Because yes, they could give you a denial, but then again, it's going to cost you to be depressed, because then you find out you can't get that house. And then you got to start off all over from scratch, showings and all of that. So it matters. And a lot of times people don't take the advice from a realtor. They're like, no, I don't want to use your lender. I'm going to go find my own lender. And then as we're going down the deal and deal tank, Alicia, what was that lender or the lenders you was providing me? And we got to be scrambling.
Now we got to get everything back up. They got to get all this information again.
And then guess what? We get timing of the essence, which is like, that's pretty much, let me tell you the terminology, that timing of the essence is pretty much the seller's kind of like saying to their attorney, listen, they got 2 weeks to get their stuff together, their crap together, 2 weeks. So now it's crunch time. So therefore that interest rate that you was hoping to get at 6 it's probably at 7.25. Cause you don't have time. So, like, your team matters. The attorney you decide that you want to work with, that matters too. A lot of times people decide at the end, like, once their offer is accepted, they're like, I don't know who my attorney is. Like, I always tell people when we have that buyer's consultation, and that's why I do a buyer's consultation, because I want to gauge to see how motivated this person is. And during that, I'll tell them, like, listen, you need to call some attorneys. I could provide you 2, and you can choose the last one who you want to choose. But make sure you're able to get them on their cell phones. Because we're not in the bedrock season. Like, there's no reason for, I'm speaking to your secretary. I don't want to speak to the middle person. I want to speak directly to the attorney. And that's who I deal with. I deal with people that could get on the phone. These big banks, after 5 o'clock, they're not answering our call. They tell us at the next business day, they'll answer our call. nowadays when it comes to these houses, because it's so many buyers, and you got New York that's coming over here like it's nobody's business, and they think these prices is like, oh, what? These prices ain't these taxes $10,000, that's nothing. So they're more than willing to put in an offer, which the ones that are here are like, man, these prices is really climbing. But the question is, you want to stay within the inner city, or you want to go out to the suburbs? And I end up relocating to the suburbs. And everybody got their own room, including my mama. I got a 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, and I paid in the 3s for it. You know what I mean? But if I was to do Hackensack originally, what I was telling you, I'm talking close to 700,000 maybe. Back then, 700, you know. So she told me, you gotta get real. What you want is what you want, but your account not saying that. And that's the realest advice she gave me throughout my transaction. I said, you know what? She right. Let me go up and go up by the mountains. You know, so we deal with bears sometimes. Sometimes we see bears, but I was raised in Patterson. I could be all right with a little bear.
So
bears, foxes.
I got plenty of friends they make about $1,300 to $1,500 every 2 weeks. Their credit score might be a little under 600. What are 5 things? Give me 5 steps that can get them from where they are now into a home.
Motivation.
Okay.
You gotta start with that. Because you're going to get a lot of pushback. Sometimes you're going to get news that you don't want to hear. And it's not a no, it's just a not right now. And some people don't understand how to take that not right now. They just say, man, forget this. And then they don't want to do it. They want to get a home, start off with a pre-approval. People kills me. They say my credit is bad. I'm going to get a credit repair. Why are you paying a credit repair person? You got money just throw like that? The lender's trying to give you a loan at the end of the day. And they want to get the interest on that loan. So they're going to do whatever it takes for your credit score to get to where it needs to be. Stop paying an additional credit repair. Or, you know, so 1, pre-approval. 2, you got to realize, depending on what your pre-approval is, right, you maybe got to go further out. This place is in Jersey, you don't need a down payment. USDA loan, there's no down payment needed. In Passaic County, West Milford is the only one that there's no down payment needed. Away from Sussex and Warren County. And there's other areas too as well without no down payment.
Sussex County is beautiful.
It is. And you get more for your money. You get more lot size, house size for your money. You know? But I would say the 5 things: pre-approval. No, I said start off motivation, pre-approval, and then again finding yourself a great realtor.
Okay.
That'll pretty much be it. The pre-approval is the financial aspect of it, so they'll let you know based on your pay stubs
From the grip.
What you qualify for.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of times I've had young people that say, you know, I just don't want to ask my mom. Guess what? The house prices ain't what it used to be. You may gotta ask mom if she could co-sign for you. You know, and it depends. And mom, the parents or dad, ask your mom or your dad. But the problem is that I'm seeing nowadays people want to do it on their own.
Yeah. Nobody never did nothing on their own. But people just have this, I'm gonna do it on my own.
Yeah. But you could definitely do it. You got to start off with a pre-approval. And if the lender said you probably got to get yourself a second job. So it's not a no. So if you got to get a second job, it depends on you how bad you want the house, yes or no. Or you could get a gift from a family member. You could get a gift in terms of you know, if you're short on money, a family member could gift you. But the thing about it too, people are like, oh, I don't want to pay all that in mortgage. Well, guess what? I bought a house for $230,000, which was a 2-family in Patterson. We're talking about, 15 years ago? I was in my 20s. Yeah, early 20s. And pretty much, guess what? When I sold that house, I got almost $500,000, $480,000.
That's fire.
Your money grows. That's the one spot that you could put. And here's a killer. Ask me how much I came out of pocket back then. $5,000. So think about it.
You just flip 5 bands.
You gotta think about it, you know. And back then they had grants, and I didn't even know from my realtor, because my realtor at the time was somebody who I worked with, and she told me she just got her license, and I gave the business to her. You know what I mean? But there's always been grants, but people just don't know where to start.
Exactly.
And my thing is that you gotta do everything now to set yourself up for in the future. Because you can't. I don't want to depend on no Social Security. I don't even know when I retire, Social Security will still be here. I gotta think. I'm not dependent on that at all. I want to make sure I got reserves, and my reserves is gonna be properties. Like my daughter, she has one. She's 22 now, so she has a 2-family now, right? So that 2-family is gonna sit. Mm-hmm. That's it. You're not collecting nothing. You're not using none of that money nowhere else. It's just gonna sit. That will be your 401k years to come from now, if you choose to, or if you like I have my house right now. If I want to take money off of, equity off of my house or whatever the case may be, that's my bank.
I know. I do know a couple guys and girls that I graduated with that are homeowners, and they be talking about that. Like, how does that work?
So pretty much it's like around 75. They pretty much give you a limit of what you could take off.
Okay.
So because of the fact that we know that right now, like houses are high, whatever the equity on your home, you could take that money off and you could plug it into something else. You could plug it into, but you gotta have a plan. Like I do a free class for first time home buyers, for from renters to homeowners, and I have a lender that's there, and he provides them the breakdown and the plug of how to do it. But you have to have a plan in place. I feel as if like in terms of like when people say, oh, I want to buy a home, they think about single family. There's no money in single family. That's a liability. That money is coming straight from out of your pocket. Mm-hmm. The goal is, if you want to start off in real estate with a property, start off with a multifamily, because you want to have, for one, the second unit for a 3-bedroom right now, 4-bedroom, probably $3,000, depending on the area. 20, I would say 28 to 3,000 probably. Some areas 32, 35 if it's like Clifton or something. And then the first floor you're collecting about what? If it's a 2-bedroom, you're collecting maybe about 25, 26. The goal is, and then if the basement has two different entrances, some people are banking off of that. So the one floor sometimes is really paying majority of the mortgage. Uh-huh. So some of that money on that first floor may put up for whatever additional is needed to have the complete mortgage, but then you having that money from the basement cash flow coming in. But you leave that, you stack it. You don't use that money to live your life and pay. You stack that money.
That money to go shopping.
No, you stack that money so that then when the opportunity comes along, you're able to move on to the next property.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what.
So how many properties do you own?
Right now, I only have my multifamily I sold my multi, so I only have my single family house right now, and my daughter has a property, but I'm looking to buy more.
Okay.
I'm looking to buy at least one this year, if not 1, 2 this year.
What's the what is the average life of a real estate agent? Like what do you mean? What does your day typically look like?
For me, 6:30 in the morning, I'm on a meeting, Monday through Friday. And then we have a meeting at 8:00. I'm on another meeting. It's a Zoom. Well, it starts 7:30. I'm on another Zoom. And then at 8:20 again, I'm on another Zoom. And then at 9:00, I'm making my calls. From 9 to 11, making calls. 11:30, from 11 to about 12, I'm doing my follow-ups. 12 o'clock, I'm on the field. So we call it the field, meaning that I'm on appointments, I'm on showings. That's pretty much how my day is. And then also I am a mother, I am a wife, and I am a daughter, so I have to pick up my kids as well. But I do that's the majority of my day.
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
So, what's that feeling like? Like when you're about to close, and like, what do you get? We get a call, or like you get an email or something from like, hey, you've been approved, everything is good. Like, what is that feeling like? That weight, like the anticipation.
I feel as if yesterday we closed on a property, but the feeling I get is the reward of how excited my clients are once it's moving day. I had a client, she sent me a picture and I brought tears to my eyes because like she came from Brooklyn. She was so frustrated because they was dealing with a squatter. And that feeling of saying, wow, we went through all of this and now we're here. It's just that them knowing that they have that peace, it's just a warm feeling for me. It's just a warm feeling for me.
So how do you guys deal with squatters? I know like people might be like, nobody living here. We in here. How do you deal with that?
Well, Jersey really don't have, like, we deal with squatters. Like, there's like one, I went to show a property and the guy jumped out the window. The other guy was up in the room. And they literally looked like they was making themselves a sandwich because I see, like, lettuce and everything on that table, right? So, but it's supposed to be a vacant home. And so how we deal with that is that we put, like, of course, when we write the offer up on the property, whatever the case may be, we put in that offer that it has to be vacant. Like, it has to have, and then of course the language just comes with both attorneys, making sure that. But in terms of squatters, like, I really haven't had like encounters with squatters. New York is crazy and you've seen it on the news. But Jersey really haven't dealt with squatters.
Okay.
Yeah. And you got people that honestly they send a dog in there. Like, like they'll send a dog in there, like, because they'll send a dog in there because they just want to make sure, like, you know, it's no one there in there. But the house that I went to, I could see that whoever it was, they had a young baby in there. 'Cause I saw diapers, and you see, you know, fresh baby wipes and stuff like that. So whoever it was, it's some fortunate situation that's out here that we just don't see typically.
Are you NACA certified?
I took the course for NACA. NACA is a very good resource, but if you got 2 years of your life to do NACA, or a year, it's not a fast process. It's not. And it's NACA, they give you a pre-approval, and the pre-approval sometimes NACA is good, don't get me wrong. It just takes time. It takes time. I can help somebody if they tell me today they want a house, but at least by the end of July, August, they'll have a house. NACA, you have to have an appointment that's set 3 months in advance. They tell you what you need. If you're missing something, that's another, 2 months to reschedule. You can't get the mortgage lender on the phone, which, you know, with NACA, they don't answer the phone. You got to just email them. Like, if I could call my guy right now, if I have a question, they pick right up. That's the only difference. But people have successful stories with NACA because they don't have to pay closing costs. They don't have to worry about a lot of fees. But at the same time, I could sit here and I could ask the seller to give you a seller concession to help you with your closing costs. And that's what I did with that lady. That's how she only came out $1,375.
You said it's called the what?
A seller concession.
Okay.
You ask the seller to give you a credit. So, like, there's ways that you can use the grant, and you could turn around and you could definitely ask the seller to give you, and it depends on if the seller could say yes, or they could tell you to kick rocks, right? They could tell you no. But you don't know if you don't ask.
Where do you see real estate going? Like up, like, you know, more houses are selling, people are taking more classes, or do you see it's like?
I think real estate is the ultimate that's up there. Because again, I don't know if y'all remember Sears, but Sears was one of the ones that was like, we would have never thought Sears got out of business. But then Walmart came.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the same thing with stocks. Imagine you saying, June, you're gonna retire at the end of this month, and you find out the stocks go down. What you supposed to do? In real estate, your money is guaranteed, because at the end of the day, I bought the house for $230,000, which was a 2-family. And I just told you at the beginning of our conversation that I sold the house this year, which is a 2-family in the same east side of Patterson, and I sold it at $665,000. So that right there lets you know real estate is going one way up. It's going up. So we can't worry about the prices then. So the next, we lost out on the prices then, but the next best time to buy is today, right? Because 10 years from now, if a 2-family now is selling at $665,000, 10 years from now, 2-family would be close to $900,000, $1 million. Then what? So the best bet is to take advantage now. And if the big lesson that I learned, I should have never sold. I should have kept that house. And I should have just bought me another house. That's another lesson that I tell people before you become a tired landlord. If I was more educated, more in real estate, I was just young and I just wanted to get a house. But I would have hired a management company to handle that, to get that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock calls that their toilet stocked up or whatever the case may be. But I just got frustrated, and that was a mistake. I feel as if, and that's why I'm in this too. I tell everybody, hold on to what you have. Don't sell. And I'm in real estate, and I'm telling you, don't sell. I should, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but hold on to your property. If you have it, if it makes sense to you, and the numbers make sense, which the numbers was making sense for me, but I just got tired and burnt out. There's leverage that's out there, and you can always negotiate it.
Okay. So, I think we're gonna get into this to the final segment of our show. It's called "I Gotta Get Out of Here," and it's where you tell a funny story. Doesn't have to be real estate. Could just be anything. To where something crazy happened, and you was like, "I gotta get out of here."
I think it was the funny thing I would say. That was crazy, and I said, I gotta get out of here, was dealing with the squatter. I saw the stove on, and I'm showing, and it's an older man too. He's like, I'm walking in there, and he's like, I said to him, somebody live here? No, it's vacant. I said, so why the burners were burning?
Oh, man.
And he said, oh, I don't know, because it was cold. This winter was bad. So he was like, oh, I don't know, maybe they came in to turn on the stove just to get some heat in here. I'm like, no, somebody about to make a sandwich. He's like, you see somebody? I said, I'm out of here. I'm not sticking around to see if I see anybody. I'm out of here. I said the window was, somebody just hopped out this window, because here's the chair, and you can see that they jumped out so fast because the chair slid to the side, and they hopped out the window, but there was somebody still upstairs. Because when I went outside and I looked, the curtain moved. So it must be a powerful ghost, or somebody was definitely in that house. And it was more than one person, because I saw diapers, so it wasn't no baby, because you would have heard a baby crying or something, but it was definitely 2 people in the house. That one person stayed upstairs in the room, and the other person jumped out the window because they was making themselves a sandwich. And I had to get out of there. And these are things when when we go to certain houses, especially the ones that are locked up and vacant, you gotta be prepared. You gotta be ready.
You ever had animal? Son?
I had raccoons. I had a family of raccoons in the basement.
Oh, man.
And I was that right there, because to get once you get bit by a raccoon or whatever, you gotta get. So I remember working at that hospital at Hackensack, people had to come in for vaccines. Yeah, you can't get it at the doctor's office. And I called the agent. I said, do you know you have a raccoon in your basement? She said, yeah, but I thought they would have been gone by today.
They live here. What are you talking about? You evicted the raccoons?
So this is it's crazy stuff that you see. And I've been in houses that there was a house in where was it? Fort Lee. And when it was an abandoned house, and I saw like long stuff on the floor. Like I didn't understand what I'm like you know how like during fall time the trees like it has like these brown things that come off of them.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. So I'm saying, well, maybe because the window broke and it blew in here. That was raccoon droppings or something. And I was out.
Oh.
I walk. You gotta walk. I was gonna show you what I walk with, but go ahead.
Well, no. What's that?
No, it's not a maze, but it's dogs. Like, because you never know what animal might pop up on you. Mm-hmm. You know, because some of these houses that I show property. I drive past cows. I drive past horses. I drive. You leave from the city from like just showing properties. Like it could be Newark or it could be Patterson. It could be Clifton. And then sometimes I gotta go all the way out there, and I'm like by the farm where you screen. There's no neighbors surrounding you. Mm-hmm. So you gotta walk with some, and sometimes them houses is abandoned for years, so you never know what's in there, what type of animal. So you see, today I got on sneakers because you never know when you gotta take off.
So my story is, we was out the other night, right, and these two girls, they started fighting, whatever their situation was, whatever. Everybody ran over, they was looking, whatever, and like it was a good fight. Not a good fight for one girl, but it was a good fight. And next time I know the two dudes started be like, yo, back up, yo, back up. So, I look. One of them whipped out a gun. Said, I gotta get out of here. I gotta smooth. Cartoon feet like it just can't.
It's crazy. It's just, life is just, you gotta enjoy. You have to enjoy life. You gotta make sure that where you are, it makes sense to be there. Because sometimes you're there at the wrong time. At the wrong time. And now, I've never been a type in my young days like clubbing, party. I was just always that type because of what we went through. Seeing what my parents went through, I said, when I get the first chance, when I get my 9 to 5, we get in a house. Mm-hmm. And so said, so done. Like, I've always just been that person. My mind is on it. I just have to do it. And I feel as if there's so many people that's out there that could be homeowners, but their mind is on Instagram. Their mind is just not, it's just not here. They're worried about the Gucci sneakers or the Gucci belt or Gucci shades. Like, that Gucci stuff, if somebody with $1,300 could purchase a house, there's no excuse. You got people that comes to this country, like I came across someone, they can't read. Ask me how many properties they have. They have a lot of properties.
They can't read.
You have people that come to this country, and my thing is that people that are born here, they don't take the full advantage.
No, we don't.
And you get upset because you see, like, what's the one popular investor in Patterson right now? Florio. There's nothing magical about Florio. Florio started from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that same story of Florio could happen for you. It could happen for him. It could happen for you. But what's behind that story? Motivation.
Yeah.
What's your big why? What's your big why? Mm-hmm. Somebody be like, I don't know why you're buying that house. That house needs a lot of. Okay, that's fine. But you gotta remember that some of these people, they don't expect you to succeed because they haven't mastered it. They haven't mastered purchasing a home. Their mind is probably not even there. Maybe it's a one day.
They pushing that fear off on you because they can't do it. Yeah. Or they don't want to do it.
Yeah, but I say this to say, I've helped young guys who, they don't even have kids or whatever. One has 2 kids. But they're in their 20s and they're taking full advantage. Mm. It's more foreigners, I would say, that own properties than the ones that actually born here. Like, that are just, you know, they don't take advantage of it. Like, think about it. Like the Chinese restaurant. You have one that probably be on the east side. You probably have one that be on the north side, right? But at the end of the day, they rather buy and they have the workers live upstairs and they rent from them. And they paying them to cook. You know what I'm saying? But their mind is not on renting another spot. They looking how to buy another spot, have the workers live upstairs and to pay them. And that's how they end up opening different locations of restaurants.
So this was a beautiful beatdown. We beat down about this because I know a lot of my audience is like, between 18 to 45, that demographic. And people tired of renting. They want to, because they're literally paying mortgage as rent. Literally. So, this was very informative. And I appreciate you having
Oh, you're
us.
welcome. You're welcome.
Shout out Keller Williams. And Beatdown Podcast, episode 7. We out of here.